Hey there, and welcome to your deep dive. Today we're diving into the world of mutual fund brokers.
Interesting.
Now, I know what you might be thinking, suits Wall Street, lots of jargon. But trust me,
Right.
there's more to it than meets the eye. We're taking you from entry level all the way to the top, exploring how this role is evolving.
Okay.
And believe me, some of these insights from RoleCatcher were downright chilling.
It's true. The landscape is changing rapidly, and this deep dive you've requested really highlights that it's not just about picking stocks anymore.
Oh, no.
It's about navigating a world increasingly influenced by algorithms.
Wow.
Managing client relationships that are constantly challenged by robo-advisors.
Yeah.
And doing it all with impeccable ethics.
Okay, let's unpack this. So based on this RoleCatcher career guide, you said a mutual fund broker manages investor money. Buying and selling to grow their wealth.
Yeah.
Seems straightforward enough,
Yeah.
but then it gets into the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
They need to be incredibly knowledgeable,
Right.
not just about investment theory, but also about the law, technology, even psychology.
What's fascinating here is the human element,
Yeah.
building trust, understanding a client's risk tolerance,
Right.
explaining something as complex as, say, a derivatives market
Right.
in a way that clicks.
Right.
These are all skills the guide highlights as crucial for a broker's success.
And this is where it gets really interesting. RoleCatcher talks about how artificial intelligence is changing the game,
Yes,
both for brokers and for those trying to break into the field.
absolutely.
They even have this tool, RoleCatcher Copilot AI, that helps tailor resumes and practice for interviews, almost like outsmarting the robots before they even meet you.
It's almost like a high-stakes game of chess against the machines.
Wow.
The guide gives a chilling example. Some firms use AI to analyze video interviews for micro-expressions,
Oh, no.
trying to read a candidate's true emotions.
Oh.
Imagine having your every blink and smile analyzed during a job interview.
That's a bit unnerving, to be honest. I guess it underscores how competitive this field is,
How
right?
extremely competitive.
But what I found really helpful was how RoleCatcher breaks down the career progression into distinct stages:
Yes.
junior, associate, senior, and principal.
Right.
They even have these example profiles of people at each stage, which really brings it to life.
And those profiles are incredibly insightful,
Yeah.
especially for someone just starting out. They provide a realistic glimpse into the skills, experience,
Right.
knowledge required at each level.
Right, like you can see the progression from shadowing senior brokers and handling administrative tasks as a junior broker
Right.
to managing your own portfolio of clients and building your own book of business as an associate.
Yeah.
It's almost like leveling up in a video game,
Mm-hmm.
but with much higher stakes.
And just like in those games, each level comes with its own unique set of challenges and rewards.
Oh, for sure.
The guide emphasizes how important it is to not just move up the ladder, but also to constantly expand your skill set.
Right.
Certifications like the CFP, CFA, and CIC are
Yeah.
highlighted as essential for demonstrating expertise and opening doors to advancement.
It's like you're always adding new tools to your arsenal,
Yeah.
right? Speaking of which, let's talk about the day-to-day realities of this job.
Okay.
The guide paints a pretty intense picture. Long hours, high-pressure situations,
Like, sure.
constant market fluctuations.
Absolutely.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart.
It's a career path that demands a lot, no doubt.
Right.
The potential for earning a substantial income is there,
Right.
but it often comes at the cost of a demanding work-life balance.
I imagine so.
The guide doesn't sugarcoat that.
They talk about how mutual fund brokers typically work in office environments, often for investment firms, banks,
Right.
or brokerage houses.
Sure.
But they also acknowledge that technology is changing how the game is played.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking Bloomberg terminals, sure, but also online platforms, cool client meetings.
Exactly.
It's a blend of traditional and digital.
And that blend is crucial.
Right.
A successful broker needs to be comfortable navigating both worlds.
Yeah.
They might be in a boardroom 1 minute pitching a new investment strategy
Right.
and then analyzing algorithms with their team the next.
So who thrives in this type of setting? RoleCatcher emphasizes analytical thinking,
Yes.
quick decision-making, and problem-solving as key skills. Basically, you need to be able to think on your feet and make sound judgments,
Right.
often with limited information and under immense pressure.
It's not just about being book smart, though.
Right.
Remember the human element.
Of course.
The guide stresses the importance of communication and interpersonal skills. Think about it. You could be the most brilliant financial mind out there.
Right.
But if you can't connect with a client and explain what's happening with their hard-earned money,
Yeah.
you're not going to last very long.
It's about building those relationships, being a trusted advisor,
Absolutely.
and navigating the emotional roller coaster that comes with financial markets.
Yes.
And it seems like doing all of that ethically is more important now than ever before.
Absolutely. The guide is very clear on that.
Yeah.
It's not just about making money, it's about doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Compliance, transparency, ethical conduct,
Mm-hmm.
those are non-negotiables in this profession, especially in today's climate.
So we've got this high-pressure environment, the constant need to stay ahead of the curve,
Right.
and a renewed focus on ethics.
It's
A lot to handle.
It's
Let's get specific. What does it actually take to get your foot in the door as a mutual fund broker?
Well, the guide is clear. A bachelor's degree is usually your entry ticket. Finance, economics, business administration, those are the usual suspects. But what I found interesting was the mention of degrees like math, statistics, even computer science becoming more and more sought after.
That I have interesting. Why the shift? I mean, those aren't exactly Wall Street staples, at least not traditionally.
It all circles back to the rise of data analysis and algorithms in finance. Today, firms want people who can not only understand the markets, but also crunch massive data sets, build predictive models, basically speak the language of the machines.
So it's like having a secret decoder ring for the financial matrix. But let's say you've got the academic chops. What's next? The guide talks about internships being crucial, and they even have this example profile of a junior broker who landed a coveted internship at a top-tier investment firm. Talk about pressure.
Talk about a trial by fire. This particular profile really highlights how internships bridge the gap between textbook knowledge and the real world. This junior broker talks about shadowing senior brokers, attending client meetings, even helping with research on potential investment opportunities.
It's like getting thrown into the deep end, but with floaties, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're still learning, but they're also getting hands-on experience, making connections, and starting to build their network.
Exactly, and that network is crucial, especially when it comes to securing those coveted entry-level positions after graduation. The guide emphasizes attending industry events, joining professional organizations. It's all about putting yourself out there and making those connections.
And probably learning how to navigate those awkward networking conversations. So you interested in bonds?
I think we've all been there. But on a serious note, the guide is clear about the importance of communication skills. It's not enough to just know the numbers you have to be able to articulate your ideas, build rapport, and explain complex concepts clearly and persuasively.
Especially in a world where clients have access to so much information at their fingertips. Why go with a human broker when you can just get an algorithm to manage your money, right?
That's the million-dollar question. And the guide addresses this head-on. It argues that while robo-advisors might be able to crunch numbers and generate reports, they lack the human touch, the ability to understand a client's individual needs and aspirations, and provide that personal guidance that builds trust and long-term relationships.
So it's that combination of technical expertise and emotional intelligence that sets a good broker apart. They're not just managing money, they're managing expectations, anxieties, maybe even calming a few nerves when the market takes a tumble.
Exactly. And that takes us back to the importance of ethics. The guide gives an example of a junior broker facing a moral dilemma. They're asked to push a product that might not be in the client's best interest, and they have to weigh their own career aspirations against doing the right thing. It's a high-stakes game, even at the entry level.
It's like that saying, it takes years to build a reputation and minutes to ruin it. One wrong move early on could derail your entire career.
Absolutely. That's why the guide stresses the importance of finding ethical mentors, aligning yourself with firms that prioritize ethical conduct, and always putting the client's interests first. It's about building a career on a foundation of integrity.
Okay, so you've landed that entry-level job. You're learning the ropes, navigating the ethical minefield. What's next? RoleCatcher talks about the associate broker stage as a pivotal point in your career.
Yeah.
You're no longer just assisting. You're starting to manage your own client relationships, build your own book of business, and carve out your own niche in this competitive landscape.
It's like graduating from apprentice to journeyman. You've got the basic skills. Now it's time to hone your craft, develop your own style, and start building your reputation. The guide has this fantastic anecdote about an associate broker who realized they had a knack for working with young families, helping them plan for college, buy their first home. They'd turn their passion into a thriving practice.
That's a great example of finding your niche and building a brand around it. But I imagine it's not all sunshine and rainbows. The guide also talks about the long hours, the pressure to meet sales targets, and the emotional toll that comes with managing other people's money.
It's definitely not for everyone. The guide doesn't shy away from the challenges. You need a thick skin, a high tolerance for stress, and the ability to bounce back from setbacks. Remember, markets fluctuate, clients can be demanding, And there will be times when even the best laid plans don't pan out the way you hoped.
And amidst all of that, you're still expected to stay on top of the latest market trends, regulatory changes, and technological advancements. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose.
It's a constant learning curve, that's for sure. But it's also what makes this career path so intellectually stimulating. The guide uses the analogy of a shark. You need to keep moving, keep evolving, or you'll stagnate.
So how do you stay ahead of the curve? The guide emphasizes continuous learning, pursuing advanced certifications like the CFA or CFP, attending industry conferences, even taking online courses to expand your knowledge base.
And don't forget about networking. The associate broker stage is all about building relationships, not just with clients, but also with mentors, colleagues, and even competitors. You never know where your next lead or big idea is going to come from.
Speaking of big ideas, the guide talks about how technology is not just changing how brokers work, but also the types of services they offer. We've already touched on robo-advisors, but there's also this whole world of fintech startups disrupting the traditional financial services industry.
It's a fascinating time to be in finance. The guide gives the example of an associate broker who realized that many of their clients were also interested in impact investing, putting their money into companies that align with their values. So they became an expert in that niche, which helped them attract a whole new segment of clients.
It's about spotting those opportunities,
Hmm.
adapting to changing client needs, and constantly reinventing yourself.
Exactly. The guide argues that the most successful brokers are the ones who embrace innovation, who aren't afraid to challenge the status quo and find new ways to add value for their clients.
So you're not just a financial advisor anymore. You're a consultant, a strategist, a tech enthusiast, a therapist.
Don't forget life coach. But you're right, the role is becoming increasingly multifaceted.
All right, let's fast forward a bit.
Yeah.
You've put in the time, you've built your reputation, you've embraced the chaos, you've reached the senior mutual fund broker level. What does this next chapter look like?
Well, think of it as moving from being the star player to coaching the all-star team. Senior brokers, according to the guide, often lead teams of brokers, mentor junior colleagues, and handle the firm's most valuable clients, often those with complex financial portfolios and even higher expectations.
Okay, so not only do you need to be on top of your game financially, but you also need to be a skilled leader and mentor. The guide actually had this quote: "At this level, your legacy isn't just measured in profits, but in the success of those you've trained." Sounds like a whole different kind of pressure.
It's true. The guide profiles a senior broker who actually stepped back from a purely client-facing role to focus on developing a new training program for junior brokers within their firm. They saw a gap in how new hires were being prepared for the ethical complexities of the job, and they took the initiative to address it.
That's incredible. It speaks to the idea that you can be successful in this field by forging your own path, even if it means challenging the traditional way of doing things.
Yeah.
But it also sounds like you need to be incredibly adaptable, always ready to pivot based on market changes, client needs, and even the evolving ethical landscape.
And don't forget the relentless march of technology. The guide talks about how some senior brokers are now expected to be well-versed in AI and data analytics, not just to advise clients, but also to manage their teams and optimize their firm's operations.
So it's like you're constantly upgrading your skill set, adding new tools to your toolbox to stay ahead of the curve. It makes you wonder, what does the future hold for mutual fund brokers? Will they even be needed in a world where algorithms are getting smarter by the day?
That's the billion-dollar question. But the guide makes a compelling argument for the enduring value of human expertise, especially when it comes to navigating the complexities of the financial world and building those all-important relationships with clients.
It's that human touch again. No matter how sophisticated algorithms become, there will always be a need for someone who could provide personalized advice, understand a client's emotional needs, and offer a steady hand during times of uncertainty.
Precisely. And that brings us to the pinnacle of this career path, the role of principal mutual fund broker. These are the leaders, the visionaries, the ones who set the course for entire firms and guide them through the ever-changing landscape of the financial world.
This is where those leadership skills honed over years of managing teams and navigating complex situations really come into play, right?
Absolutely. The guide emphasizes that principal brokers aren't just responsible for their own success, but for the success of their entire firm. They're developing long-term strategies, managing risk-making, high-stakes investment decisions, and all while fostering a culture of ethical conduct and innovation.
Talk about pressure. I imagine the buck stops with you at that level.
It certainly does. The guide includes an anecdote about a principal broker who had to make the difficult decision to close down a particular fund due to unforeseen market conditions. It was a tough call, but they prioritized the long-term interests of their clients and the firm's reputation, even though it meant short-term losses.
That takes courage and integrity. It really seems like the best brokers, regardless of their position, operate with a strong moral compass.
Agreed. The guide makes it clear that ethical conduct is not just a box to be checked, but rather a core value that should permeate every aspect of a broker's work.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the one key takeaway you hope our listeners walk away with today?
That a career as a mutual fund broker is a journey of continuous learning, adaptation, and growth. It's a demanding but incredibly rewarding path for those who are passionate about finance, driven to succeed, and committed to making a positive impact on the lives of their clients.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Uh,
This deep dive has been an eye-opening experience, and I think we've both learned a lot about the evolving world of mutual fund brokers.
It's been a pleasure exploring this with you. To our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you a new appreciation for the complexities, challenges, and immense rewards of this dynamic field.
And remember, whether you're just starting out or aiming for the top, the key is to never stop learning, never stop adapting, and never underestimate the power of human connection in a world increasingly driven by algorithms.
Beautifully said. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.